There we go. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to episode 1 of Karen B TV, the place to be to empower your possibilities. I am so excited that when I finally decided to do my own podcast, TV show, video, I knew I had to have this guest on. I knew Veronica Drake had to be my first guest. She's from Pennsylvania. I'm from Pennsylvania, although in my opinion, she's on the wrong side of the state. She's on the Philly side. I'm on the Pittsburgh side. We have never met, but I feel like we're best friends. So I had to have her on. Veronica Drake is an international intuitive thought leader and speaker. Her highly refined intuition and faith-based approach to life, coupled with her witty sense of humor, and she is funny, allows all who are drawn to her to instantly relax and feel comfortable to be themselves. Drake has spent over 10 years mentoring and empowering women to overcome stress, limiting beliefs, and fear-based living. She specializes in helping women after one of the 4 Ds hits: death, disease, disaster, divorce. That is delicious. She realized from her own life experience, dropping to your knees and starting over can be scary. Welcome, Veronica. Thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate it.
I am absolutely honored to be here and to be the inaugural launching of KBTV. So I'm excited to get going and heal the world.
Well, we're going to start with my very first question. We're going to try to keep this under 30 minutes, but when her and I get talking, who knows? I will say that Veronica is my intuitive go-to person, and she has always been spot on. As I said to her before we turned this on, you could lie to me every once in a while, but she tells it as it is. So Veronica, you address falling to your knees, that, the dark moment of your soul, the moment when everything is collapsing around you. And obviously, because you've had that moment. Do you mind sharing your story with us?
Which one? No, I would say, I think we all, I was 54 a couple of days ago, and we all, during our lifetime, have had several dark nights of the soul, dark moments. But one of the most profound for me was in 1996 when I went to kill myself. I didn't want to live anymore. I had done something horrible, something I thought was absolutely unforgivable that, you could never recover from. And so I went to crash my car, and I felt an incredible warmth come over me. And I just felt so protected and so safe. And I was angry, and I said, "Where have you been?" Because I never knew God. And I heard, "I've always been here." And from that moment on in 1996, that's what started my journey that I'm still on to this day, present day. I don't think we ever stopped journeying, but that was a very profound moment for me.
So what led you up to that point that because wanting to take your own life is obviously a very dramatic, desperate act.
Yeah.
So, do you want to talk about that?
Sure. The final curtain, the final curtain call, and I was really ready to check out. I had gotten married very young, and I had had an affair with someone who was brutal to me. I was looking for somebody to pay attention to me. And here's what I've learned through all of that. As horrible as it was, and it was, I learned my addiction during that time. Well, I would say, not during that time, but as in hindsight, I could see the addiction that affair fed. And I have to be very careful not to slide into that addiction. And that doesn't mean having affairs once and done, but the addiction is the need, the crave for attention. And so whenever we go into our shadow side, some people might call it, our addictive side, our cravings, we get led places that are very dark. We will do anything to get our fix. And so people think addiction is only to substance or gambling or alcohol. You can be addicted to people, and you can be addicted to attention. So
where do you think that addiction came from? What do you think fed
mm,
it in the first place? Because I think
sure.
many women have those types of addictions, whether it's to, men that treat you poorly, the attention,
Mhm.
but, and it is a shadow. So where do you think that shadow came from?
Well, I believe that unconsciously, subconsciously, I was stuck in a pattern of nobody paying attention to me. And I'm the product of an alcoholic and a schizophrenic. So you can imagine very tumultuous childhood. My brother was very sickly growing up. He had epilepsy. And so all of the attention was on him. But not only was the attention on him, I would hear things like, you were the easiest baby to have. You never knew you were around. You were a great kid. You occupied yourself. But what I felt and what I heard was no one knew I was there. They were complimenting me that I was a good, easy baby and a good, easy kid, never got into trouble, never caused a fuss. But what I heard was I was invisible. So that's where that came from.
Wow. And to kind of back up for just a second, when we talk about shadow sides, the shadow side are the pieces of your personality that you have buried within.
Mhm.
Usually starts in childhood, especially for women, childhood in their early teen years, whether, you were told you're not smart enough, you're not pretty enough,
Right.
we have to give all your attention to your brother. I've also seen where there's a sick sibling in the family, they see all the money and all the resources going to the siblings, so they don't think they deserve good things. They don't think they deserve money. And to find the shadow is really where I think the 4Ds show up.
Totally.
You've got to really sit down and dig and dig and dig.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure that you didn't just wake up one day and say, I am addicted to attention. I'm sure there were many steps to that transformation.
Oh, it was a huge journey. And here's what I'll say with regard to the 4Ds, which are death, disease, disaster, divorce. At one time in our life, we're all going to hit a D. And we can choose to go on our knees and upward, or we can choose to go inward and internalize it and let it manifest and infect and create all kind of illness inside of us. And I did that for a lot of years because I didn't know up was an option. I wasn't raised with God. So until I went to take my life and literally that energy of the Supreme came in, I didn't know. So within the Ds, our shadow comes to life. The dark side of it. So let's just use divorce, for example. I work with a lot of women who are trying to get back on their feet after a divorce. They're left with, well, he didn't love me. What did I do wrong? Affairs, what could I have done differently? Well, I should have been better. No. What I want the women to understand is that the D, the divorce, is giving you the opportunity to look deeper into yourself, to see, because let me see if I can explain this and articulate this. When we are given the gift of internal humiliation, okay, we begin to change and grow our lives. Now, internal humiliation might come because you might recognize it in the midst of a conversation, how you're showing up, how you're behaving. So you're going through divorce proceedings and you feel humiliated on the inside, but the reality is what can come from that for you? Not, I feel this big, but how can I look at this, not own it if I don't need to, and step away from it? Because people are going to throw stones at us. They're going to throw things, and it's going to call up things in us, and we get to decide, do I need to look at that or don't I need to look at that? And that our shadow resides in there too. The shadow is a deep, deep conversation for a lot of women.
It's very deep. And again, as we were talking, the layers, because you think you found a shadow. I did a Facebook Live earlier today about losing weight. And everybody's, well, how'd you lose weight? It was, I finally figured out why I put the weight on. It's not the diet or the exercise. It was the shadow. But the weight loss journey took 25 years because every time I thought I figured it out, I didn't until I got to the very rock bottom. And I think when people find that shadow, that's another moment when you're brought to your knees.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And the thing about all of that is it's all predefined. I do believe the minute that there's conception, it's pre-planned. You're going to have this, and you're going to have this, and you're going to have this, and your angels know, your spirit guides it, and then you have to know. You're the last person to know that this is what you're going to experience. But your free will is important because you've got your path, which is your destiny. Your fate is governed by your free will, and your free will really should be in tandem with free choice, free moral choice. So when we say we have free will, it's not free reign. It's not, I'm going to go out and, it's coupled with free choice, which God always intends to be moral choice. Mm-hmm. So that's important to understand. Because people will say, I used my free will and I went out and I had a hell of a time and I did all this and, and I found this guy and he was awesome, blah, blah, blah. But did you wrap it in morality? And I'm not saying they don't. I'm just saying that's a question to ask yourself.
That is an interesting question because I look at free will as you're at a decision point and you can make the decision to go left or right. You can
and you can choose the path of dark, if you will, for lack of a better word. I don't know if I believe that, but dark. And then you can say, well, wait a minute. What would the moral choice be here? Because ultimately this journey is about raising our vibration. I mean, that's it. If we take all the fancy stuff away, we're raising our energy, raising our vibration. Love is the highest frequency that there is. God vibrates at love. We're all reaching for love. So when you take the choice, are you taking the moral choice or are you taking the off-color choice? I'll say it that way.
But I think not everybody knows the moral choice because depending on, a lot of us, I like to call it chaotic homes. A lot of us were raised in very chaotic homes, whether it was abuse or, a sick sibling or alcohol. There's something going on. And if you were raised in an environment where there wasn't a lot of moral stuff taking place, or there wasn't religion, or there wasn't, if you see your parents drinking every day and your mom and dad out cavorting or whatever, then how do they know what the moral choice is? I think that's what gets a lot of people.
And an easy gauge for that, and I say easy, and I say that with all due respect because here I am 20 some years on the journey. So I can use words like easy. Is it easy? No. The easy indicator is it of love? If you're going to make a choice and you're questioning that choice and all of this dark stuff comes up, all the ramifications, and you start seeing them very clearly and you're going to hurt this one and you're going to hurt that one. And, is that the moral choice? Is that the choice of love? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. That's an individual process that each person has to take. I mean, let's take an example. I have a client who's being courted by a married man. Now, she's not married, but she's very infatuated with this person. They've known each other forever. What's the moral choice here? To take the high road, we might say, to go on. And she's, I'm tormented because blah, blah, blah over here. Ultimately, she's taken the choice to take free will down the moral path. Again, there's no right or wrong, no judgment. You go down a path, you go down it. You just have to get where you're going and then make the next decision. So I just wanted to give people something to think about, perhaps before they step on the shadow path, that they could stop and think moral choice.
And I agree, although I think that a lot of people, again, if they've never really seen the moral choice, like how many times do alcoholics get up in the morning and say, this is the day I'm going to quit drinking?
You're right.
But they can't, or this is the day I'm going to quit having an affair with a married man, or this is the day I'm going to tell my husband or daughter, or not daughter, husband, wife, significant other, that you can't beat me anymore. And that's the only life you know, then how do you switch to the moral choice? If, say, my husband comes home every day and he beats me and he drinks, do I begin the path by contacting you, by calling you and asking, how do I get out of this? Because I think people want to know, this is my life. It's a train wreck. It's not a train wreck, whatever. How do I begin to get out? For you, you took your life all the way up to where you were ready to commit suicide. And so you had that moment.
Oh, yeah. And you know it. Women know it when they're having that moment. And what I have dedicated my life to doing is working with spirit, working with the energies, and fine-tuning my intuitive skills, now working with angels, channeling messages, because our angels know our destiny. They're in the loop with God. They got the 411 on us. And so a lot of people have a hard time sitting, talking to their angels. We all have the ability to do it, but think about it. When you're close to a situation and you're frantic and you're up here and everything's spinning, how do you get yourself calm? That's where I come in. That's exactly what I do. I go in, I connect to your angels, I connect to your guides, and I give you information that maybe you don't even want, but you need. And that's a starting point.
So how would somebody know the difference? I call it your enchanted voice. The voice where you start receiving messages. How do you know the difference between it's your enchanted voice and it's your, this is what I really want voice? I don't want to hear that my life's a train wreck. I don't want to hear that I'm 80 pounds overweight. I want to hear the voice say, you look good even though you're 80 pounds overweight. So how do they differentiate between their enchanted voice and their fooling themselves voice?
Again, I'm going to use, like the Course in Miracles uses love and fear. So when the enchanted voice, as you call it, or the voice of God, or the voice of spirit, or universe talks to you, it's a very loving, soothing voice, okay? It might say to you, well, gee, you can leave that 80 pounds on, but in the long run, is that going to create longevity for you? Is it going to sustain you? Can you fulfill your mission? Like this kind of, that's exaggerated, but the other side of it would be, the fear voice, the ego telling you, oh, you know what, don't worry about it. At all costs, get your fix. Do what you need to do. You feel better when you drink, don't you? That kind of thing. And I'm not implying that addiction is easy to break. I watched somebody try to break their addiction practically my whole life up to age 35. So by no means am I trying to belittle that or say that it's easy. But when the voice talks to you, and it will talk to you, it won't be panicked if it's of love and spirit. It'll be soothing. If it's panicked, chances are it's your ego kicking up or your shadow.
Now, can you talk a little bit more about ego? Because I think a lot of people get ego confused with ego as in, I look really good today, I'm awesome, versus what the ego really is. Can you address that a little bit?
Yeah, our ego is the part of us. Let's see, the best way I can put this is, Jung said that we have a subconscious, and we do. But a new way of looking at the subconscious is the part of the brain where the ego lives. And the ego is habit. The ego needs to keep us reliant on what we know. So if you think about it, so an example is this. If you go to step out and you're going to skydive, okay, because the conscious part of the brain says, oh, we're going to skydive. Oh my gosh, this might be fun. And it wants to learn because it's the creative part of you. But the ego, the subconscious part of you goes, no.
Oh, hell no.
Right? That's not safe. You get back in there. You stay on the safe path. The ego says, you know what? So your marriage isn't perfect. You stay there. You're never going to go anywhere and have it as good. Look, and then the mind starts to find evidence to support what the ego keeps telling it. So if the ego says, you cannot leave this man because, you have a roof over your head, you have spending money, all of these things, And the mind will go, oh, well, we are taking that vacation to Italy, and geez, I do have a great house. And no matter that he's had 6 girlfriends in the last 6 months, it's the ego. That's the ego. Its job is to keep you safe as it deems safe. So does that make sense?
It does. So the best way to, and correct me if I'm wrong, the best way that you're explaining it is your enchanted voice, your God voice, your spirit voice is a voice of love.
Yes, precisely.
Is a voice of never move from this spot ever.
Fear.
Safe.
Yep. Stay stuck, stay the same, create a habit, get comfortable in that habit, and live your life.
Mm-hmm. Now, where do you think fear comes from? I mean, I know it comes from the ego, but I mean, some people have, like I wouldn't jump out of a plane. It just isn't going to happen. I mean, push me, I guess, but not going to jump out of it because I'm not a fan of heights. It's a fear, but it's a fear I don't need to fix.
Well, it's funny because when I met my husband, he would say to me, oh my God, you're afraid of everything. And I literally was. I was afraid of everything. I was taught to be afraid. So perfect example, my father said, you don't drive in the snow. Now, Pennsylvania, I live in Pennsylvania, we get snow. So when I turned 17, which was the driving age in New Jersey, which was right across the border where I was raised, he didn't even bother teaching me to drive in the snow because you'll never drive in the snow. You do not need to drive in the snow. So what did I learn? So I learned, don't drive in the snow. Well, I didn't drive in the snow until I was 30.
Oh my God.
I know. And the other part is, he never taught me how to drive on the highway. You don't need to know. The joke around my family was, or in the office I worked in, I never merged on the highway till I was 30. And the only reason I did that was because my best friend in the office was in labor and her husband was out of town. He couldn't get a flight back. And the only way to her hospital was if I drove on the highway. And to this day, her son is 20. We still tell that story. And it just, but fear, it's fear. We're taught to, and then off of that fear, every other fear is born. Well, if I fear this, well, what if I drive on the highway and, oh my God, what if a truck comes over the lane? And then forget the media. The media, all that perpetuates fear. And fear is to me, it's the most evil. Fear is evil. So, yeah. But a lot of women live their life in a state of fear, and it's learned behavior, learned belief. To answer your question.
And, when we talk about jumping out of a plane, I do have to say that because I'm not a fan of heights, I did go zip lining with my family 2 years ago. And when you zip line, you're up really high, and you're tethered, and it just is not the best thing in the world. But my family really wanted to go, so they kept talking me into it. And because I'm blessed enough to have the husband I have, I trust him implicitly. I absolutely trust that I will never get hurt as long as he's around. So when they tethered me in and they said it's time to go, I looked at him and he said, I promise you, you'll be okay. So I think, and I was, and will I zip line again? No. It was good to do once, done. But I felt so good about myself afterwards. And even now when I get into situations where it's like, oh, it's a little tenuous, I think of that. So if you're able to break that fear, and for you had to drive on the interstate.
I had to.
On the Pennsylvania interstate, and as I said earlier, I'm from back there. They are crazy. I mean, the first time my husband got on the interstate with my sister driving, he white knuckled it till we got to her house because it's at 90 mile an hour, just trucks, nobody cares, just go. So
crazy.
Once you get over the fear, you start feeling good about yourself. So what do you recommend? That people just find one little fear driving on the highway and conquer that and just keep niching away till they get to the big ones?
Eleanor Roosevelt told us do one thing every day that scares us. So think about it. When you wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is I say thank you. My eyes are open. My arms are working. Everything seems to be in order here. Thank you. And then I sit and I reflect and I pray and I think, what scares me today? What am I scared of? You know, and it'll vary from day to day. And some days I revisit the same fear, you know, but the idea is that you do it. You know, just do one thing every day that scares you. I was terrified, okay? Never in a million years did I want to do video. I hate the way I look on video. I detest it. But here's what I know. If I don't come out in this way, in this medium, I can't live my life's purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And that conquered my fear because I was born to be out there. And so here I am.
And you look great on video. I mean, we've had our share of video conversations between.
Yeah, we have.
and she's great on video. And if you want to follow her videos, her Facebook page is Veronica Drake
Spiritual Intuitive.
Spiritual Intuitive, and her website is veronicadrake.com now.
Yes.
Okay, so we're at the 25-minute mark. I have to put my glasses back on so I can see all the buttons. And I committed to try to be done in 30. So, Veronica, if you had one thing that you want people to know more than anything in the world,
Mm-hmm.
that one thing, what is it?
Yet is a very powerful word. So get used to using the word yet. Y-E-T.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That is deep. You haven't done it yet.
I haven't done it yet. And it leaves room for expansion. It's a beautiful word.
Wow. I got to think about that one. That's a new one. You just pulled that one out. You never cease to amaze me.
Nor my husband.
And happy birthday again.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I know your son just got married, which is awesome.
Yes. Oh, yes, we did. Thank you. We had a beautiful wedding. I am so incredibly blessed. I want to clarify, that doesn't mean that there isn't bird poop on my windowsill. Trust me. Being blessed isn't about everything going right and being perfect. Being blessed is walking amongst what is and accepting it.
Mm-hmm.
That's being blessed.
And walking in love.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, without a doubt.
Okay, well, that's it. We're at our close to 30-minute mark. Veronica, I thank you so much for being my very first guest on this. Hopefully, we'll look at episode 500 and look back at this when we finally meet in person.
Absolutely.
Chuckle over it and say, wow, how awesome. So again, if you want to contact her, she's at veronicadrake.com. I will have that in the comment section below, but if you're like me and you want to know right away, it's VeronicAdrake.com. Book an appointment with her, you guys. It's life-changing. The stuff she has told me about myself and the questions she answers is amazing. It'll be worth your while.
Thank you.
So again, thank you very much. I look forward to talking to you soon. Everybody, see you guys later. Thank you for visiting Karen B TV, the place to be to empower your possibilities.